record. And then start to share screen. Okay, here. We have someone. How do I get to? Hold on, let me stop sharing. I'm not sure how do I get back if. Okay, then let me restart sharing screen. Okay, then we will discuss more about interface. So this example, you can find it on our course website. It's called Chapter 13. Chapter 13, example 5, house. Okay, and we have two files, the house Java file. So let's first take a look at this house.java file. So we define a house class. So nothing new for this, is it? But if you take a look, here it says it implements. And if it has the keyword implements, then we know following that should be interface, is it? So yes, here we have two interface called cloneable and comma and comparable, is it? But with the comparable one, it's a little bit of tricky. We also have angle brackets. Following that is the house class that we defined. Okay, so today there are two new interface, and these two interface used quite often. Okay, and for the comparable interface, for the clonable. So first, let's take a look at the clonable interface. And if you take a look at our project, we don't have any files, is it? Java files. So this clonable interface is not what we defined. Okay, it comes from the Java package. Okay, so Java has a interface called clonable. And the same thing for the comparable interface. Comparable interface also comes from Java, so not what we defined. Okay, but the concept is similar as what we learned in our last couple of classes. They still hold the general guidelines for interface. And for comparable interface in Java package, what is defined is as comparable angle brackets with T. Okay, so this is for generic. So you got to specify some reference type. So this represents some reference type. Be careful, okay, here I said a reference type, some object type. Okay, so this primitive type will not be allowed. So it got to be some class. Okay, some class. Later on, we will learn generic. Okay, so anyway, so far, what we need to know is this comparable. It's an interface, and whenever you try to use it, you need to have the angle brackets. Okay, and the comparable interface, if you want to use it, for clonable, you don't need to do any import. But for comparable, you need to import the Java language data comparable. Okay, so you need to import this interface so that you can go ahead to use it. And what's the purpose for this? This comparable is support nature ordering. So it's for comparison, okay? Because later on, we will also learn about collection. Okay, Java collections, okay? And over there, it has some method sort. And the sort, by default, it can use nature ordering. Okay, so for some reference type, we don't define the nature ordering. It won't work as you expect. So that's why over here we need to learn this. Okay, then next let's see what this class is about. So this, anyway, so this is a house class. It's implement to interface. So you can also see, you can also implement multiple interface. Okay, multiple interface. So this house client has 3 instance variable, the primitive integer type ID, the primitive double type area. Okay, nothing new. And for the 3rd instance variable, it's called when built. But the type, you can see it's from what? It's from the date class. And the data class from what? From Java utility package. Okay, so that's what this 3rd instance is. Okay, then let's see. Over here, is it the constructor? Well, the constructor for the ID, you just do assign, area, you just do assign. Okay, so here the question is, the when built, is it when built, then it initiate a new date? Is it initiate and then assign to the when built? Okay, so that's for the constructor. And so here, here I have another question I would like to check with you. Suppose I have the house, I have the 3rd parameter. Okay, the 3rd parameter is also Java dot utility dot date. Is it? And I call it also when built. When built. Then if that's the case, then I need to write something like this. Is it? When built. Because the parameter is also called when built, so you need to do this dot when built. Is it? And then I do this when built. So is this a good design? Is this a good design? Here is this question. If I have the constructor, the 3rd constructor. So basically here the general concept is for a class, you have a constructor, is it? Constructor, is it? And your class instance variable is reference type. So instance variable, one of it, okay, is a reference type. So when you do the constructor, is it a good design that you just pass whatever that object to your instance variable?
No.
Okay, I heard no. So can anyone then know the answer why it's no?
I think that we have to create an object, but if we do this when build equals to when build, we are just like creating a new object, like it's unnecessary, I think.
Yeah, so that's, so what is this? This means this is a shallow copy or a deep copy? So if I do like this, is this a shallow copy or deep copy? If I directly do the assignment?
Is shallow copy.
Yeah, it is a shallow copy, is it? Because it is a shallow copy. Let's just think about the outside, is it? And if you have some data object, then the house going to also directly access it. Is it? Then later on, maybe your house built date you don't want to change, but that date basically actually change. Then it will impact also your house built date. That's wrong, is it? Because house cannot have two built, the built date can never be changed, is it? But it can be changed, is it? So this is not a good design, is it? So this is not good design. Okay, so that's our today's first class quiz. So the class quiz, can you just write this? We shouldn't. So you need to write this complete sentence, okay? You shouldn't directly assign when built to this data when built, because it is a shallow copy. Okay, can you write this and send it to our chat? So you should write, we shouldn't assign when built directly to this data when built because it is a shallow copy. And then send it to chat as what we always did. Send private to me, okay? Only privately to me, not to everyone, okay? So that I can make sure everyone here is listening. So everybody got it?
Yep.
But I only got 2 chat, 3 chat.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer. What was it?
Yeah, over here we are discussing this. Is it the when built? This when built is a type of date class. Is it? So when you have a constructor, if you have the third parameter type is the date, you shouldn't directly assign that parameter when built to this data when built, because it is a shallow copy. Okay, so that's the question. Okay, so we kind of have this idea. So not everyone sent, because we total have 17 participate, but there are still quite a number of you not sending. So please send it to your question to the chat, okay? Okay, so this is the house. And then next, let's see the get ID, get area, pretty simple, is it? So here we also have a method called get when built, and then I return when built. So is this good? Is this allowed? Is this good?
No, we have to create a copy to return, but not the object when built itself.
Yeah, very good. Okay, very good. Okay, this shouldn't happen. Is it? This violate what?
Encapsulation.
Pardon me?
This violates encapsulation.
Yeah, very good. Because in secure programming, is it? That's what we discussed. Is it? Because you declare when built as what? As private, and then you return it. Then it changes to public. Everybody can access it. Is it? So it violates what? So here is a fill blank. Is it? So that's our second quiz question. So you need to write violate what? Okay, so I'm not going to give you answers this time because some of you already answered, okay? So when you send the answer to the chat, can you write like this, number 2, and then write violate and fill blank. Okay, so that's regarding the this method instant has a problem. We shouldn't do this. Okay, and let's stop sharing because we are going to discuss the clonable. Is it? So first, I'm going to share screen.
Can you repeat that?
Clonable.
You said right 2 and then what?
Pardon me. Who has a question?
Chilton.
Oh yeah, please.
You said right what again? You said 2 and then violet what?
2. Yeah, that violate. So you need to do that fill blank. Violate underscore. What is that underscore? What is that? We previously in our class, we also discussed. Anyone knows the answer? Just give him a hand. You need to listen very carefully, okay? And also, I strongly recommend you open your computer to watch the video. Don't just turn on your phone and just listen because otherwise you cannot see the code. And the whole purpose of video is you also see the code. That's the most important part. So anyone can give him a hand? What is that? The fill blank? Violate what? That's one of the fancy words that we learned in OOP.
Escapulation.
Yeah. Got it? Charlton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at the official document. Okay, for Java, this is Java 8 documentation. Okay, so in the document you can see the clonable. Is it here? So the clonable is an interface. It's from Java language package, and it's an interface. But if you take a close look, so if I scroll down, you will find it's very interesting, this interface. This interface doesn't have anything. Okay, it doesn't have anything. That's kind of weird. But if we take a look, so let's stop sharing, okay? And let's go back here. Go back here. And that's over here, yeah. So on code, okay, on your code, if you right click, suppose you highlight this, is it clonable and right click?
I think you didn't share the screen.
Click navigate, go to source. It will bring you to the clonable. Pardon me?
I think you didn't share the screen. We didn't see anything.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay, share screen. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to explain how did you view, because Java is open source, is it? And how can we see all of the libraries, is it? So for this clonable, is it you highlight and you right click, and it says navigate, go to source. Is it? Then it will bring you to this clonable interface. It's package java.language, is it? And if we take a look of this interface, you will see it's very weird, this interface. This interface basically it's empty. It doesn't have anything here. So then what's the purpose? Is it? Because previously we learned for an interface, it at least need to have an abstract method or a constant value, but here it doesn't have anything, is it? So what's this interface, is it? And then what we implement, we implement about what, is it? Okay, then let's go back here. Okay, so what's the next method? Then let's see. So the next method in our house class is a clone method. And the clone method over here, if you take a look, you will find it says override, is it? And this clone method return type is what? It's an object. But we didn't see this clone method in clonable, is it? So it's not in clonable interface. It's not in clonable interface, is it? And it returns an object. So where does this clone method come from? This is from Java object. Okay, so Java object has a method defined as clone. Okay, and the clone method can create a copy of the object. Okay, copy of the object. And so let's go back to take a look. Let me see if I have that object. Yeah, okay, we do have that. So let me first start sharing screen. Not this one, this one. So same thing. If you go to official Java document, so the official Java document, okay, you will find the definition for the clone. It's from object class. So it's a part of essential method defined in object. We already learned the toString and the equal, is it? We override those two methods a lot, is it? So here is the clone method. It returns an object. It's a protected method. Okay, anyway, it's protected, but because all classes define in Java a subclass of object, that's why everybody can access it, is it? Can also override it. And this method itself throws some exception. And don't worry about this exception. Okay, later on, next week, we will learn exception. So what here it says, this method creates and returns a copy of the object. Okay, a copy of the object. So over here, it needs to meet. This copy means not at the same location, is it? Not at the same location. So whenever you implement, you need to meet those definitions, is it? And the class type should be the same, okay? And it should also meet what? The equals method, okay? The equals condition should be true, okay? So whenever you override, you also need to when you define your clone, you also need to make it to meet all of this definition. Okay, the clone method definition. Okay, so that's regarding the object clone method. Is it? Oh, I forgot to share screen. Share the screen. Okay, so we kind of know the clone method. Is it? If we go to object.java file, is it? And you will also find the object clone method. It defines through some exceptions. It's return an object's name. And you can also see this method not basically over here implemented, is it? Okay, so then let's see what we really want to achieve for the clone here. Okay, so over here, let's just take a look. It's just called super.clone. Okay, called super.clone. And you always need to catch this exception. Okay, so anyway, whenever we implement clone, you just do this try and catch temporarily. Okay, later on we will learn exception, then you will fully understand. But anyway, here, because it can throw exception, so you do need to catch this exception, okay, in your implementation. And over here, the comment says this is a shallow copy. That's because date not cloned, okay? And why we see this? So let's take a look. The second option for us to implement this clone. So we can implement, so here override to who? To objects. Okay, object's clone, is it? And it's still return object, is it? Okay, so here, how did we do it? Is, okay, we first have a house object, is it? Created, we just call the super clone. Is it? So it will create a house at a new memory location. Okay, so this will create a new location. But over here, if you take another close look, you will find then this clone house, it's when built, that reference type instance variable, you also call when built clone. Okay, you create a deep copy of it, is it? But the clone returns what? Returns object. But the when built type is what? It's java.utility.date. That's why over here you cast it. Okay, then you return this. This is a real deep copy, okay, of our house's clone method. Okay, so this is another option you can implement for clone. And there is another option, but over here, if you take a close look, we don't have override. So it's not over. So this is just a method, has the same name, okay, as object class clone, but it's not overriding it. Okay, it's not overriding. So it doesn't have any inheritance relationship here regarding this clone, specific clone method. Then it's pretty similar, okay. So what you can do is you can create a new house at a new memory location, is it? And also for the when built, you create a new instance, is it? And then you can set its time to what? To the instance variables time, is it? The date, is it? Then in this case, this is also going to be a deep copy, okay? So you may still kind of, I believe, may still kind of confused. So let's draw it. So what does that mean? Is it? So over here, so on heap, is it? So you have a house. So this is a house object created, is it? And within it, it has the when built, is it? So anyway, it has that when built. Is it? Because when built is what? It's a reference type. So it needs to have a box. Is it? So this is that when built object. Is it? So it refers to another box. Is it? On heap. Is it? Then why we see if you just call super.clone, that's not a real deep copy, only in this scenario. Okay, not all of the scenario. In this scenario, why it is a deep, a shallow copy, not a deep copy in this case. Okay, that's because, yeah, you did clone. You did copy. So when you call the super.clone, is it at the memory, at a new memory location? Is it? So it's a copy of when built. Is it object? Is it? But it's when built, oh, not when built, copy of the house, I'm sorry. House object. Is it? But it's when built. That it's when built. Point to where? Also point to this when built box. Is it? So both point to the same. So is this a deep copy. That's why it is not a deep copy. Is it? What you expect is what? We should let the when built point to, let me extend this heap. Is it? It has another box. Is it? That box is copy of that when built object. Is it? Then in this case, you realize deep copy. Okay, so be very careful here, okay, for Java objects. When your object is more complicated, but that happens in the real world a lot, is we have this kind of scenario, okay, because our house class instance variable in this case, it has primitive type. Is it? It also has what? Reference type. Is it? When it has the reference type, you need to be careful, like this when built. Is it? You need to make a deep copy. Okay, so this specific instance variable, you also need to make a copy. Okay, that's why in our implementation, let's go back to our code. Is it? That's why over here, for our override, the deep copy of version of clone, is it? You see the when built, is it? You call the deep copy. Is it? Because the date object itself also has a clone. So this create a copy of date objects. Is it the second date box is created? Is it? Then you can return it. Is it? Then this is a deep copy. Okay, a deep copy. So now it makes sense. Is it the clone? Okay, then the question is, this clone method is you override the object class's clone method. That has nothing with to do with the clonable interface. Is it? And why do we need that? Is it? And this clone, so this is kind of like a design, purpose design pattern, okay. So this clonable interface is called a marker interface. Sometimes also called a tag interface. So this kind of interface doesn't have any method and constant value defined. Okay, so then what's the purpose for this? That just means whoever the class implements this kind of marker interface, then they belong the same set. So they kind of share the same behavior. So that means, oh, they support deep copy. Is it? And within they have that clone method override, and that clone method provides a deep copy of the class objects. Okay, and if you implement this interface, is it? And if you don't implement that interface and you try to do this override, is it? It can throw the clone not supported exception. Okay, so that's why over here we provide the deep copy. And now you also understand why, if you just call super.clone, it's a shallow copy. Is it because date not cloned? Is it that date still reference to the same location? So that's not what you expect. Because for the clone method, is it in object, it has 3 definitions. There's 3 definitions. It cannot be the equal, is it? And it need to support the equals call. And the class, the get class, should also be the same. Is it the 3 definition? So whenever you override a clone method, you need to make sure all 3 criteria are met, okay? So this is regarding the cloneable interface, the clone method, is it? And the clone method, can we write our third quiz question? The third quiz question is for our house example. House example, is it our clone method? Clone method needs to provide. So what kind of copy? So fill blank. Okay, or multiple choice, shallow or deep. Okay, so then you can send your answer to our chat. So multiple choice here, shallow or deeper. The data clone method needs to provide.
Deep.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it should be the deep copy, okay?
So
everyone,
what
please send your answer to the chat. What?
I have a question. So what this catch clone not supported exception does? I didn't really get it.
Yeah, because if you don't implement the clonable interface, it will throw the exception. Okay, and right now it may be not too clear for you because next week we will learn exception. Then at that point, you will understand this fully. So anyway, the try-catch block, it's also an important topic. So we will discuss it next week. Okay. So temporary, you just remember, whenever you try to override objects clone method, you just need to follow what we did here. Okay, use a try and catch, and always catch that clone not supported exception. Okay, you needed to do this. Okay. Okay, then next. Let's move on to the next interface. Okay, multiple interface, you use a comma. Okay, the comparable interface. Okay, the comparable interface, let me see if I have, I didn't put it here. Stop sharing. Let's share another, the Java document here. Okay, then let's go back here to take a look. So the comparable interface, is it, as I explained, it's in the Java official document, is you can find the full definition for the interface, is it? So what this interface is supports nature ordering. Okay, nature ordering. So the class has a method called compare to that we need to implement. Okay, implement. And here it has a definition. So that's the method, abstract method that we need to implement. And here it also explains the detail about this compare to method. Okay. And then let's go back to our code to take a look. Okay, then for this compare to. So that comparable interface, is it has this compare to abstract method. So we need to implement it. So what it does is compare yourself Who is your cell? This. Is it 2 who? 2O. Is it? So what is the type of this and O? The data type. Data type. In our example scenario, what is the data type? Here we
House.
discuss. Yeah, very good. It's a house. Is it? It's a house type. Okay. So let's see. This method, it must take, because you remember that's called a comparable, as angle brackets house. Is it? Because this comparable we imply it supports on what? On house. So that's why for this compare to method, the parameter type O should be house. Okay, should be house. And over here, what criteria? Oh, we said rule. What's the rule that we used for compare to? We use area. Okay, house area. So you can define the comparison rule. Is it because like a lot of when you visit a website, is it, and you want it to display as what? As by the latest date or by the largest number? Is it a lot of choice you can do? Is it when you want to see the result? Is it? So over here, that's over here for O, we want to define by area. Is it like for string class? By default, when you do sorting, it's what? It's sorted by lexicography. Is it? So alphabet order. Is it? So here for the house, because you see the house has what? Has ID. It also has area. It also has built date. So when you compare, you want to use which rule for the compare? Is it? So over here I said I want to use area. So this is my nature ordering that I defined. And why we call it nature ordering, just like a string. Is it string? Then by default, every one of us agrees. Is it lexicography? Is it? So that's why we call it nature ordering. Okay. Okay, so you compare yourself's area with the arguments area. If it's greater, then you return 1. If it's less, you return -1, otherwise 0. So compare to, generally speaking, always return this 3 value. Okay, 1, -1, or 0 represent the greater than, less than, or equal relationship. Okay. So this is this compare to method. And then if you take a look, at the other method, the equals method, we already learned also before. Is it the equals method? Equal to try to compare what? Compare contents. Contents. Is it? So here, yeah, ID. You can compare. Area, you can compare. Why here I didn't call equal? So is that legitimate? When built equal h dot when built, and of course this h. So this is because for equal, is it you override objects equals, is it? And its parameter type is what? Is object. So that's why over here you first need to cast it. If you don't cast, you cannot get ID and area. But after you cast, you can see you can get h.id, h.area, and h.when built. So can I just directly use equal for comparison?
No, because it checks if they have same memory location, and
Yeah,
they do not.
very, very good. Okay, that's not legitimate because what? This checks memory location. And here you want to check what? You want to check if the date, okay, if the date contents the same, not the memory location, is it? So that's why over here we do this. And the last method, toString as usual. That's also nothing new. So over here for this house, the new one is we also implement the compare to method. Okay, compare to method. Okay, then next, let's see. So this is regarding this house. Is it this house class? So we understand it. And then let's go to take a look. The driver. Is it? So for our driver, then here you see house 1 you created. Is it? And house 2. What did the house 2 do? House 2 is what? Is the house 1's clone. Is it house 1's clone? Okay, then here it says I want to check house 1 equal to house 2 and house 1 dot equals to house 2. Okay, so here is a question. Okay, and that's our fourth quiz question. You write the number 4, okay, and then you give the answer. Is the first house 1 equal house true or false? So which one? Multiple choice, is it? So when you do print house 1 equal to house 2, it's true or false? What is the answer? We already learned the clone method. What did we see, the clone? Okay, so here is our heap.
Should be true, right?
Heap, so you have house 1. Okay, house 1 object. So my question is, where is the house 2? So this is in main, house 1, stack memory. House 1 point to here. House 2, where does it point to? House 2 here. After I call that clone method. It's point to where? On heap. On heap, what should I do?
It's point to another boss. Another boss will be created. Yes.
Yeah, so this is the clone. Is it? That guy's clone. So it point to here. Is it? And each one of it also point to a date object. To its date object. Is it? That's what we mean of a clone method. So it should be true or false here. The answer.
False.
What? So someone said T, someone said F. Is it true or false?
False.
Yeah, it is false. Very good. Then how about the second one? House 1 dot equals house 2.
True.
True or false?
Would it be true?
Yeah, this is true. Is it because both have exact same what? ID, area, and the box of these dates. Is it? So the same. So that's why it is equal. Okay. So very good. We got this one done. And the next one is array list. We don't have time to learn it today. Do you have another class? Do you mind we finish array list, or you just want to leave it on Monday? I don't know if we have any homework assignment regarding array list. Do you want to finish it?
Can we do it Monday?
Just do Monday? Okay. This week, our assignment has nothing to do with array list, is it?
No.
Oh, okay. Then we can do it on Monday. Okay. Okay.
So it
then-
was just the three quiz questions then?
Pardon me?
It was just the 3 quiz questions.
We
then?
have 4 questions. We have 4
Hello?
questions, and I don't remember because I just
Oh.
randomly come up. You may check with your classmate. Okay.
The first
got-
one. The first one
And
was
hello? Why? Oh, that's
can you
my
hear me?
end. I said, why the voice is so, I cannot hear anything.
Okay. I missed the last one.
Yeah.
the last one was true or false on the is the first house object identical to the second one, I believe.
All right, bet. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question before we start